Snake Xero the Lizard King. Part 2, The Crown of Fangs. The jungle changed the deeper they went. Trees no longer whispered. They watched. Vines didn't hang. They reached. The river had no current, and still it moved. The sky was always the color of a dying bruise. Xero walked at the head of the party, his cloak torn, his staff cracked, his body lined with wounds no healer could fix. His left eye now glowed green, an unnatural gem embedded where flesh had once been. It wasn't decoration. It was the Serpent's Eye, one of the 3 relics of the throne, and it pulsed with purpose. Behind him walked his so-called allies, half-believers and half-lost. Bragg, the dwarven cleric turned heretic, muttered prayers to gods that no longer answered. His faith was gone, but the hammer he dragged was still heavy, and still holy in its own strange way. Kip, a fey girl with sticky fingers and a stranger past, moved like a shadow that forgot it was tied to someone. She hadn't spoken since they left the ziggurat with the eye. The whispers had gotten into her head. They hadn't left. And Mawk, the goatman warlock who insisted life was a play and death was just a second act. He was bleeding from one horn, but smiling anyway. Xero didn't speak to them. He didn't explain. He didn't apologize. The Crown of Fangs was close. He could feel it. They reached it at dusk, though in the swamp, dusk was a generous term. The temple was more skeleton than stone. Black vines wrapped the walls like old bandages. The stairs were choked in mud, and the front gate was shaped like a yawning serpent's mouth, its teeth still glistening after 1,000 years. Kip refused to go inside. She stayed by the tree line, wide-eyed, whispering to herself. Bragg placed a charm on her forehead and called it a ward. It wasn't, but it helped. Mawk walked straight in, humming. Xero followed. Inside, the air was too still. The stone too wet. The walls breathed, slowly, rhythmically, like lungs underground. No traps, no puzzles, no welcome. Only a long, winding path downward, toward the chamber of the crown. The relic pulsed before they saw it. A throne of bone and emerald stood in the heart of the ruin, wrapped in the petrified skeleton of a colossal serpent. Its ribs formed the walls, its jaws the ceiling. Floating above the throne, impossibly suspended in air, was a crown of fangs. It was beautiful, terrible, ivory carved into scales, teeth sharp enough to bleed memory. And at its center, a dark gem that seemed to look back at whoever stared too long. Xero stepped forward, and the shadows moved. A voice rose like oil. "Did you think I wouldn't be here?" General Vrack emerged from the darkness, his armor made from shattered temple glass and crocodile hide. The traitor, the usurper, the butcher of Sunscale. Xero froze. He had imagined this moment 100 times. Killing Vrack, reclaiming what was stolen. But now that it was real, his claws trembled. Vrack sneered. "You're still just a priest with a title. I earned this crown, Xero. I bled for it. You just lost everything for it. You burned my kingdom," Xero growled. "I freed it," Vrack replied. "You and your dead god. All those lies. You were too weak to rule." Xero looked up at the crown. "You're right," he said softly. "I was weak. Back then." And then he moved. The battle cracked the temple. Bragg charged first, shouting in Dwarvish, his hammer lighting up with divine fire. Vrack met him with a curved glaive and shattered the enchantment in 2 blows. Mawk summoned illusions, 3, then 5, then 20, each version of Xero laughing, dancing, mocking Vrack. The general cut them down one by one, eyes locked on the real thing. Kip appeared behind Vrack and stabbed, deep, true, straight into his back. He howled and spun, catching her across the jaw with a backhand that sent her tumbling. And in the chaos, Xero climbed the steps of the throne. The closer he got, the louder the whispers became. Not like before. This time, they knew his name. "Take it," the voices said. "You've earned it. You deserve to rule. You are Ithcor's made flesh." Xero reached out. Below, Vrack roared in fury and charged. Xero turned, cloak billowing, and pointed the Serpent's Eye at him. A beam of emerald fire blasted from his face, stopping Vrack mid-run and throwing him across the chamber like a rag doll. The temple shook. Bones cracked. Walls wept. Xero gritted his teeth and lifted the crown. Pain exploded in his mind. Every nerve, every scar, every buried memory burned at once. He saw the marsh before time. Saw the first serpent crawl from the stars. Saw Ithcor's rise and fall in slow, patient wait beneath the mud. He screamed, but he did not let go. He placed a crown of fangs upon his brow, and the world changed. The serpent skeleton coiled around the throne came alive for a moment, eyes flaring, jaw opening. A pulse of green light shot out from the temple and into the sky, visible for miles. Outside, Kip knelt in the mud and whispered he did it. Inside, Xero stood taller, straighter, changed, his wounds sealed. His voice echoed with more than just breath. "I am the last king," he said, "and the first god." Bragg fell to one knee. Mock applauded like an audience member at a play. Kip stared in awe. Vrak lay broken, silent, and far below them all, in the deep place where dead things dream, Ithcor awakened. Thank you for watching. Feel free to drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the story. May adventure fare you well.